Hello family, welcome back to the channel. For those who are just getting to know me, this is a space dedicated to the restoration of marriages and families, because I lived through the miracle of seeing my own family rebuilt by God after a period of separation. The title of today's video is a request I get often: how I overcame the pain of betrayal. And I want to talk about this with my heart in my hand, because I know that for many of you, this pain feels like a bottomless pit. It's not just a hurt, it's a grief. And I would say it's an even more complex grief, because it's for the husband who is still alive. You know, the person who made vows with you is now with someone else, and the rejection, the harsh words, the coldness, all of it corrodes the soul. The shock of the discovery was just the first blow. The real earthquake came later, when the dust settled and I could see the full scale of the collapse. I was already fragile, without a job, without my own income, at a time that should have been about preparation, but which became one of total helplessness. Our home, which was never truly ours as it was rented, ceased to be my home. I had to gather the little that remained to me into a few suitcases and go back to my mother's house, with the crushing feeling of a teenager who had failed, not of a woman building her family. The dependence was total and humiliating. Me, an adult about to become a mother, had no way to buy a single onesie, a diaper, a bodysuit for the baby growing inside me. The layette became a patchwork quilt of other people's charity. A friend would donate a blanket, a cousin would bring a pack of used diapers, my mother would stretch herself thin with what she could. Each item, however well-intentioned, was a reminder of my bankruptcy. It wasn't just the trust in my husband that lay in shattered pieces on the floor, it was my dignity. The autonomy I had built as a woman evaporated. I no longer decided anything: what to eat, where to sleep, how to support myself. The feeling was of having been stripped of everything, of my partner, of my roof, of my place in the world, of control over my own future, and most painfully, of the narrative of a life I believed I was building. I hadn't just lost a marriage, I seemed to have lost my own identity. And depression hit. How could it not? But I had a life inside me, and it was by looking at my belly that I understood: I need to survive. I couldn't stay there, paralyzed. I had to get up for myself and for my son. And how did I start to get up? One step at a time. The first and most crucial step was a desperate search for God. He became my only sustenance. I read the Bible, I watched sermons, I consumed restoration videos. It was this content that kept me alive. It was the only thing that filled the void in my soul. I would start my days talking to God: Lord, I know this is a phase. No storm lasts forever. This will pass. I had to accept that this was the reality at that moment. Accept that He had made a choice. This acceptance is not agreeing with the mistake, but it is stopping the fight against a reality you cannot change alone. It is the first step to saving your energy for what really matters: your healing. And healing begins with forgiving. Forgiving is not saying that what He did is acceptable. It is releasing that weight of resentment that only harms you. I had to forgive and understand that it was a mistake of His, and that every wrong choice brings consequences. And more than that, I started to pray for him, to pray for the life of the person who hurt me. This changes everything, because it takes you out of the victim role and places you in the role of an intercessor. Simultaneously, I began to search within myself for the woman who had been left behind. What dreams had I abandoned? What could I do for myself, even in that limited situation? I was pregnant, but I started selling savory snacks, doing small sewing jobs, anything that would give me a purpose and a little autonomy. It was about restoring myself as a person, as a woman, in all areas. I understood one thing: the pain doesn't disappear overnight. At first, it feels like the heart is completely torn apart. But as you fill yourself with God, with projects, with small victories, that wounded heart begins to be filled with good things. The pain no longer occupies all the space. It stays in a corner, still present, but no longer dominant. And it was from this place of inner healing, of personal restoration, that my search for the restoration of my marriage gained a solid foundation. It was no longer a cry of despair, but a conscious faith in a God who restores all things. The journey was long and had many obstacles that I can't even detail here, but I did not give up, because my faith told me that, with God, nothing is impossible. So, if you are going through this today, I want to tell you, allow yourself to feel the pain, but do not drown in it. Understand that pain is a heavy and inevitable visitor. You cannot pretend it is not there, nor lock the door. Let it in, sit with it, listen to what it has to say. Cry until you have no tears left. Feel the weight of the grief, of the abandonment, of the loss of trust. This is not weakness, it is humanity. However, after a few days granted to this collapse, a week, perhaps 10, you will need to make a conscious and courageous choice. It is the decision to say, even in a hoarse whisper, now enough. From this point on, even if it means crawling, I am going to fight for my own life. This decision does not erase the pain, but it changes your position in relation to it. You cease to be the ground upon which the pain tramples and become the warrior who, even wounded, gets up and decides to walk. The pain may continue by your side, but it will no longer dictate the pace of your steps nor obscure the horizon that you, with gradual determination, have chosen to reclaim. Your first and greatest step, the one that supports all the others, is the decision to seek God. Amid the collapse, when people fail, earthly structures crumble, and your own strength runs out, He presents Himself as the only foundation that does not shake. This is not a religious cliché, it is a practical truth of spiritual survival. The void left by betrayal and abandonment is of a profound nature. It is not filled by new distractions, by hatred, nor even by time alone. It is a hole in the shape of the soul, which only finds its filling in the transcendent, in the unconditional love that emanates from the divine. Seeking God, in this context, means more than attending a service. It is the deliberate act of, in the overwhelming silence of your room, crying out for help that no human can give. It is opening the Bible not as a ritual, but as a desperate dive in search of a living word that gives meaning to the chaos, and finding, perhaps on any page, a verse that seems written exclusively for your wound that day. It is placing yourself in prayer when words do not exist, and simply groaning in the Spirit, allowing your anguish to be translated and presented at the heavenly altar. He is the only one who can fill the void because He is substantial love itself. While the world offers palliatives, He offers presence. While the memory of abandonment replays the film of rejection, He whispers the eternal identity, "You are precious in my eyes. You are loved." The healing He performs is not a magical erasure of memory. It is a spiritual surgery that, little by little, removes the poison from the meaning of that pain. He does not take away the fact that happened, but transforms your relationship with it. The wound ceases to be a site of infection of worthlessness and becomes, gradually, a place of a scar that bears witness to restoration. This search is the foundation. Without it, any reconstruction risks being built on the quicksand of your own bitterness. With it, even if the house is still in ruins, you are standing firm upon the rock, and from there, all true restoration can begin. Forgive. This word may sound like a betrayal of your most justified feelings, as if it were a cheap shortcut that ignores the depth of the wound. But here is the truth that only those who walk through pain discover. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to the person who hurt you. It is an urgent surgery you perform on your own heart to extract the poison of resentment. Resentment is not just a bad memory. It is an active poison that you continue to ingest every day, hoping the other person gets sick. It manifests as a cycle of obsessive thoughts, a bitterness that contaminates good moments, a wall that isolates you from new love, and a spiritual fatigue that consumes your most vital energies. Holding a grudge is like tightly gripping a burning coal in the palm of your hand with the intention of throwing it at someone. The one who gets severely burned first is you. Therefore, forgiving is, first and foremost, an act of radical self-preservation. It is you deciding to stop drinking the poison and expecting the other to die. It is a courageous process that goes through stages. Understanding what forgiveness is not. Forgiving is not saying that what happened was acceptable. It is not automatic reconciliation or the handing over of new trust. It is not a magical feeling that erases the memory. It is, yes, a decision of the will to release the emotional debt, to give up the right to retaliate and seek revenge. Naming the pain and the anger. Before you can release, you need to know what you are holding. Allow yourself to feel all the fury, the injustice, the disappointment. Write, scream into a pillow, talk to a counselor. Do not skip this step. Genuine forgiveness only happens when you face the real dimension of the offense. Choosing freedom. In a moment of clarity, even if the pain is still present, you make the internal choice. I refuse to let this person and this hurt continue to control my peace, my joy, and my future. I release them from my emotional court, where they were a permanent defendant. I let go. Repeating the decision every day. Forgiveness is not a button you press once. The hurt may come back like a wave. When that happens, you look at it and consciously repeat the decision, I have already forgiven. I choose my peace again today. Over time, the waves diminish. By forgiving, you are not absolving the other person's mistake. You are signing your own liberation. You are clearing the channel of your heart so that the love, hope, and healing of God, which are far greater than any offense, can flow freely again. You remove the power that the offense and the offender had over your emotional and spiritual life. You cease to be a museum of resentment and become a garden bed, prepared to receive new seeds of peace and in due time new fruits of joy. Justice belongs to God. Your sacred mission is to recover possession of your own soul. So you have allowed yourself to feel the pain, you have made the decision to fight for your own life, and you have sought strength in something greater. Now, one of the most practical and at the same time, most profoundly transformative steps arrives, starting to do something for yourself. This means much more than simply taking care of yourself. After a betrayal, it's common for a person to lose sight of themselves. All the energy, attention, and even identity may have revolved around the relationship, and afterward, around the pain. Doing something for yourself is the deliberate act of reconquering the territory of your own existence. It is to stop being an appendix to a story that went wrong and become once again the main author of your own life. Start with the body, which carries all the memory of the trauma. Caring for yourself is an act of rebellion against abandonment. It is taking a long bath, moisturizing your skin, preparing a nutritious meal even without hunger. Why? Because it is you saying through actions to your own being, you matter. You still deserve care and dignity. Getting dressed up, even with nowhere to go, is not futile vanity. It is raising a flag of self-respect. Putting on clothes that make you feel good, combing your hair, is an external and visible sign to yourself that defeat does not have the final word. You are putting yourself on your feet, literally. But go beyond the surface. Reclaim a dream or an activity that was forgotten at the back of a drawer. That course you always wanted to take, the painting you stopped, the dance class, the idea for a small business, reading a book that has nothing to do with your pain. This is crucial. By doing this, you are reconnecting with the person you were before, with the desires and talents that are exclusively yours and that do not depend on anyone else to exist. It is a powerful way to remind yourself, my life has value and potential that go far beyond this chapter of suffering. This triad, practical care, personal presentation, and investment in a purpose, is the fuel that rebuilds self-esteem. Self-esteem is not recovered only with positive thoughts. It is rebuilt brick by brick through measurable actions that prove to yourself that you are capable, that you have value, and that you have control over at least some areas of your life. Every small achievement, every moment you choose yourself, deposits a grain of confidence into the emotional bank that was bankrupt. Therefore, doing something for yourself is not a treat, it is a vital prescription. It is the process of ceasing to be the me who was betrayed, to return to being simply and powerfully me. It is about exchanging the identity of victim for the identity of a survivor in motion, and then of a creator of a new life. The journey is internal, but it solidifies and takes shape through every concrete gesture of self-love that you practice in your daily life. Believing that this is a phase is the most challenging and, at the same time, the most liberating act of faith in the entire healing process. In the eye of the hurricane of pain, everything seems permanent. The anguish is so total, the present is so heavy, that the mind cannot conceive of a different future. It is as if the story had ended abruptly on this crumpled, tear-stained page, and your identity had forever fused with this chapter of suffering, the betrayed one, the abandoned one, the one who failed. But it is crucial to distinguish between the fact and the phase. The fact is what happened, the betrayal, the separation, the broken trust. This is part of your history, an event that will not be erased. The phase, however, is the emotional and circumstantial state that this fact triggered. This state of despair, disorientation, deep grief, this is temporary. It is a natural response to trauma, not a life sentence. Believing it is a phase means exercising a vision that goes beyond your immediate feelings. It is remembering the basic nature of life. Everything changes. No emotion, no matter how intense, is static. No season of storms lasts forever, even if today's gray sky gives no sign of change. You have lived through other difficult phases before, even if smaller, and overcome them. This one, as colossal as it may seem, will also obey the same law of time and transformation. This belief is what removes the defining power from the pain. When you internalize that this is a phase, you stop saying my life is over, and start saying my life is going through a harsh winter. Your essence, your value, your potential are not reduced to this moment. They are intact, in a state of latency, like a seed under the snow, waiting for the thaw to germinate. And it is here that the metaphor of the new chapter becomes active and powerful. If this is a phase, then it is necessarily a transition, a portal. A chapter is being turned, yes, but not by an outside hand. You are the author and the protagonist. The next chapter is not pre-written, it is being written now, with every choice you make. The current pain is the dramatic introduction to this new chapter, not its conclusion. Believing this changes your posture at the root. Instead of a passive being suffering an immutable tragedy, you become an active being navigating a difficult crossing toward a new destination. Each act of personal care, each moment of forgiveness, each search for God, each dream reclaimed. These are the first words, courageous and trembling, that you are writing on the blank pages of your future. You are not just enduring the pain, you are consciously using the ink of this experience, no matter how dark it is, to compose a narrative of resilience, rediscovery, and restoration. Therefore, hold on to this truth as you would to a lighthouse in the open sea. This will pass. And what comes next depends fundamentally on the small and large decisions you make today, in the midst of the storm. The current phase does not define the end of your story. It simply establishes the conflict from which your courage, strengthened by faith, will forge an outcome you are not yet able to see, but which you can already begin to believe in and build. You are strong. You are capable. And this overcoming will become your most beautiful testimony to help many other people. If this video touched you, be sure to subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. In the comments, tell me, today I choose to get up. A big hug, stay with God, and I'll see you in the next video.